Your choice reflects and then elects. At first, not all force true and really right. You see what's called debate. It stays the odds in multi-front, see plight. Fact treatment's breached. It connects top down. And latterly we lost in revolution. Well, see clown. All hollow, see the Santa Claus. Fine print, believe. What good is Constitution, yet all trained deceive? Each standard, each schoolyard justice system stays the guise that stays the bleed. Oh please, all heed, all turn, religion, flank, receive. Attend sequence, plight of chief, believe. Intonation sciences, as yet they still deceive. With revolution stayed this loss, not worn deep, so grieve. Schoolbally narratives hold stays, where fact treatment deceives. And he who smelt adulted stays. Mass litigation tricks, mass litigation thieves. Thee who smelt adult the ancient litigation trick. And worse the curse, and intonation sciences stay worse. And by that worse unseen, I'll call the name of Romulus Friar Muir redeemed. Drop every team. We need you trained. Religion, trial, tribe, in sequence first. Why? She always value why. Yin yang, see name. Each value why and why. Earth greater species. We correlate. It's intonation, correlation, positive, not let. It's just these intonation and internation relations. All regret. Where was I? Fire you redeemed. Drop every team. We need you trained. Religion, trial, tribe, in sequence first. See hunger, thirst. See active constitution, yet not let here first. The breaching means put all your lies here first. And that self-defended stays and stays. So the stays, others, the worst stay, the evil stays unseen. Now one debate has not been breaching means. We lost in revolution, leave your teams. And here I'll turn, see whites of eyes. See all our founders forced to stays entrenched. With us not let realize. See revolution not claim war. See elections not claim right to force the active constitution as a weapon yet not let. But force claim glorified. These weapons trained, not let to tell what stays their lies. Their business guys is trained, incapable. So in other words, correlation can show with real facts treatments, what sensibilities can't take. We must have, in other words, so that was my poem, but now on the side. For example, I forgot. So it'll be another one, thank you, because I forget to do the fortune cookies. There's a fortune cookie. Whoa! Now, fortune cookie say, a fortune cookie say, not prejudice speak accent. I show in many videos, slowly point Top-down force lie. Need counter, need means free speech, not let. And yet, we lost in revolution. Force trained told only lies. Trained told war. There was only war with England. It was with England with itself. They cheered us when we fought for revolution. Cheered our enemies are now. That's just within. Juxtaposed with criminal enterprises, terror internation gangs, and criminally legalized ones, relying on top-down lies. A man can fail many times, but he isn't a failure until he gives up. Easy. Speak to finite individual. We do not. Thank you, China. Thank you, Asia. Thank you, Saudi Arabia. Thank you, America. Each differently. Each common enemy. Each have a common enemy. Blamed on each other. Only let see through contrast, not through correlation. See to clear. To add to clear, not take away, reveal. Why are we species and two sexes, trinity of nature? Why? To see what nature greater, trinity to the two. The ancient ways were lost, denatured into science. Multi-front. People from our cultures, a minority from our cultures, and a minority from, this is a game with linguistics, with fact treatments. You know, everyone's self-defending fact treatments that are with roles, with a method that has everyone blaming logic and law on her as predatory evidence fabrication natures, as her conviction natures. And that's wanting to talk and have hurt feelings about that, because correlation shows that in relationship to mistreatments of the terrorists, the forced terror linguistics on the forced political theater of our founders. To what? To what was internation, intersciences, into what was before that, holding them for a method with colonization's terror laws. Categorically, even the tribes didn't understand and fell for the trick of blaming, of the not having the time impositions, the educational, categorical impositions, sabotage impositions, forced retreat nature, reaction impositions, forced to account for what no one understands. So what happens? They create only realized evidence fabrication natures, self-defending, and then self-defending and expert lean. That's already been using that for systematic evidence fabrication methods. That's why we have these things reported about systematic crime progressions with drugs through our schools and stuff. When the parents are, we can't be there. We can't be there for our innocents of all ages, of our elderly too. This connect same. We have evidence fabrication, blaming convictions of children even in relationship to these narratives with the school connected to lies and delusions. Only let's standardize, not by accident, in relationship to not being obligated to tell us about history, to teach us about that with standardized education, but with them also obligated for geopolitical complex litigation agreements originally forced with terror, using denatured denaturing the landscape, forcing everyone to captive value nature systems, terror database relationships. That's what with intercultural police set up with terror databases, with things like slavery. This is an organized crime method with things like terror laws, even against judges, like with witch trials. That's reflective of natures of terror. You know, the hurt. We have hurt progressions. But see, we have them coming from all different directions at once, not by accident. Per method, having us only with the science is only that realized. In other words, for example, with the media, with evidence fabrication roles recorded, and then but then they have narratives pretending, trained like serial killer, this is mass serial killer, justifying it, blamed on lies and delusions with colonization's terror laws, categorically, to divide. It's easy to say divide and conquer in relationship to physical logistics, but even to economic logistics, which is not even stable, and say, as an evidence fabrication nature, claiming stability, for example, and then wanting to have debates about, character. In other words, everybody's character has to admit, everyone has roles, justifying with logic that has been entertaining state terror treatments, state evidence fabrications, and delusions that are sabotaged to proper fact treatments and defenses of the Constitution's active relationship to us, which each right is different at each time, at each moment, to each person, what they need. If you're driving on the road, you need everybody following the rules, and a little bit aware beyond that, anticipatory. And see, we have natures of sciences with complacencies and with treatments, what's claimed to be peaceful is violent. And it connects with fact treatments and justifications of that connect with terror evidence fabrication methods connected to the mass drug and all kinds of other problems. I wouldn't believe that all these people are killing themselves too, the soldiers coming home. We know through history we have worse than mission creep, which mission creep was in relationship to things and agreements they had between America and Germany with the invention of the German car and with the invention of the industry in America connected to the ancient revelations that were criminally re-engineered with what only realized sophistications through contrast to exploit it, to methods exploiting all areas as a method, having them take self-defense of lies and delusions for the breaching methods. So these parties are influenced by college business takes on approaches to civics and to politics and to fact treatments. Only realized with multi-front impositions to proper fact treatments in reality. So we have the American Revolution only trained with our standardized education with lies and delusions, claiming it's a war. And then see, when they get questions, it's a nature that's it's not just surface, but other influences too at the same time. But it's a nature that is like training insidious liars, insidious criminals, training them to lie, because that's what, in other words, that's what it takes to justify summary convictions of American history that neglect to teach about the theater of the forced political theater on our founders and the terrorists and the counter extortion that was needed to be involved involving the plan between James Madison and with George Washington, which counter-extorted the other founders into a plan that, was essentially to drop off Marbury versus Madison, which is the only statute we need. I'm not a lawyer. Real justice must satisfy all appearance of justice. This means when we to ourselves as well. This means what is unchanging, positive always is the only thing that's true. In other words, business interests can't speak for us. Only the threats with them can. And the threats with them, we can't speak for us pretending we have standards. No, in other words, every nation, and we can't blame one nation because every nation has been self-defending pseudo-stability and pseudo-everything. And worse, multi-front, defending that with the method natures of organized crime not understood. So that we have motivations for people to tell lies and to exploit systems only let realized, exploiting people and blaming it on other lies and delusions. And then self-defending that as roles where what they don't realize is relying upon that, only letting that realized. Needing the people of the nations of nature's state to which stays them perpetually captive through what uses a tool evidence fabrication natures only let realized to the defense of every nation, originally having using terror in ways no one understood, and connected to how you have needs for new internation terror groups. At the same time, to justify all the liars, to give them the top-down lies, to justify the lies they tell themselves to others, categorically down at the street level, in relationship to bottom-up voices being quashed, in relationship to what really stays, the crime progressions. And as a nature with the treatments of the statistics, but not letting their more insidious and vastly criminal, connections to their treatments and uses of their ignored treatments with the facts, attaching lies and delusions to treatments of crime statistics, obfuscating their connections, the ones that reveal the sciences roles, the intercampus roles, with worse than just predatory litigation nature, intercampus, intercity database relationships. In other words, with thee who smelt it, thee who smelt it, deal it. We have all evidence fabrication terror methods to all areas attached to crime progressions. For example, just simple with correlation, you begin with overall truths that are unchanging, and you see what denies that with lies and delusions, with top-down lies and delusions, like the media, and like the unrealized inter-police nature roles and motivations to defend positions with treatments they're trained to defend, about credibility. It's still being breached. Because they never had credibility. These are organized crime, criminal enterprises that they're the only ones with the resources to counter, not by accident, them incapable of it in relationship to terrorists that they know we don't know about the finite details of. But so they're holding expert opinion, but they're playing that with roles that perpetuate our active needs for all parts of the Constitution to be defended, being justified, not defended. In other words, We have the chief as well as the president is the same person, because the Constitution can be defended as a business. And there's not one right more important than another. And they have all kinds of lies and delusions. They have people only speaking lies and delusions for criminal reasons, criminally legalized reasons, trained reasons, mass reasons to all areas. In other words, if you have lies to tell like that, you have other lies, you have lie progressions to justify too. So we have all these people sharing methods of justifying lie progressions. And then with fake integrities, for example, in relationship to the debates and the fact treatments. And you just, even with what a debate is, what our impositions are, all the passions they force to interpret it leaves criminal insidiousness only, incapable. It leads us to fact treatments incapable of countering the criminal insidiousness that was set up to stay with these layered before it. Us fighting with each other with the time impositions, with the fact treatment impositions, perpetuating what has our legal natures internationally and abroad, to the defense of relationships, of treatments and lies in relationship to all kinds of complex things like investments of money, juxtaposed with international gangs and internation gangland nations. And then with all that, with the connections to the people with that, with job sites and stuff like that, at the same time with investigations, with the monies going from like locals to nationals, to internationals being invested, and then all kinds of self-defense natures of all kinds of roles with that. Only let trained realize to roles with mass lies, putting business before the Constitution, putting lies and delusions before the Constitution, not by accident, because what was already entrenched here. That was so well that we're not even allowed to use the points of correlation that reveal impositions and lies and delusions, sabotaging our reception of the most important facts of our founders, forcing memorization of all kinds of breach standards with tons of facts, countless facts, with American history, but leaving off the most important ones. I'm not a lawyer. Marbury versus Madison. True justice must satisfy all appearances of true justice. In other words, we have to be able to know what is unchanging always. And we have to be able to speak for it. That means with the finite too. That means the Bible. Means in relationship to, in other words, we have to explain the nature of organized crime with colonization. This requires us to explain the nature of organized crime that never left with fact treatments. And so we have to take it out of emotions and treatments of people like this, Otherwise, you're just going to have theater, everyone blaming each other and putting their business on complex related things, forcing everyone measured tool evidence, fabricate breaching natures, mass evil. That's why we have the problems like we see with Lisa Ling covers on CNN. That's why we've had them through time. That's why we have poverty through time. It's just as simple as we lost with the sciences. Real sciences reveal our impositions, our shared impositions as nations, first as a species, because that was the might. When we correlate every nation as a correlation nature to the shared value. In other words, we have different positions that are correlated to a nature that if we care for it together, a nature greater than us together, forces evolution realized, forces what is not seen, potentials, For example, to dig so deep, right, that we go onto the bedrock, but means that private industries can't handle. You know, these are concrete asphalt deserts, too. We have to deal with the deserts first. That's bottom up. These are the points that are colonization. The devil knew, the proverbial devil. And there's an archetypal criminal enterprise. There are proofs of it. It knew that we would perpetually have nations only realize self-defending roles and treatments of logic, entertaining it, blamed on lies and delusions. In other words, evidence fabrication natures. We have to understand how English, how languages are to teach how consciousness is a nature of correlation nature. No, correlation to what? To what is actively in demonstration to us as unchanging truth, as unchanging positive, diffusing through temporary nature, and then staying as progressive value to itself. And what has not stayed progressive value to itself, it has the value of earth to it. That is forced from here. And that causes negative value nature progressions. In other words, not only is infrastructure set up to have negative value nature progressions, but more importantly, it was set up to have it blamed on lies and delusions, and have that invested, in other words, we're mass liars per what was criminally legalized, and per what it was before that to maintain that, blamed perpetually on other things. Now needing new terror intonation groups. Multi-front, using the nations only realize as evidence fabrication, self-defense natures too, with the sciences, with the religions. Religions are about the corruption of the sciences to hold them as industries, and holding the industries of natures of police and the natures of the conjunctions that we don't understand. They're predatory hurt conviction natures only, glorifying any legal agency glorified. Not one deserve it. The revolution was not a war against ignorance. The revolution and war are two different terms. Understand that. Understand these other cultures, the legal natures, the agencies of other nations put those terror laws here, and not out of prejudice, and not for money means, but for linguistic tricks. In other words, for methods to have us blame each other and entertain facts treatments, blaming humanity and every other lie and delusion than what it really was, which is a breaching method that stay us as the evidence fabrication breaching nature roles, as mass serial killer roles in relationship to these statistics. Then they want to say it's no problem. All these murders could have been prevented. All of them. Almost every one of them. Because what stays right through under the guise is thee who smelt it, dealt it, dearly. A man can fail many times, but he isn't a failure until he gives up. We gave up. Man means mother's alpha neutralizes. We're in this together. Why do we have babies? It's a demonstration. Why does the baby grow up? It's a demonstration of the long-term needs we have, that are per a value nature system that is other than this one. These ones we share together and share apart, both ways as negative value nature, because we're not letting the one. We're having a pseudo peace called unity. We're having forced sabotaging relations, so forced justifications of that as breaching evidence fabrication roles, and then justifications of that with fact treatments that connect with liars' needs for excuses at the street levels, and them not no one understanding. Every nation was not let to understand this because we have the same reason we have agencies that failed to explain what revolution was apart from what war is, and glorifying aspects that of forced criminal insidious narratives and terror theater, of our founders. They couldn't pretend. I mean, they had to pretend that they had to entertain that they entertained what they did not want to entertain. In other words, this is not free speech, the right to express. Free speech, we need to force, we have systematic evidence fabrication methods through our states against our federal government, breaching roles with them. Was set up here to stay that since using the sciences, but before it, and staying inter-city. This is why we have systemic drug problems and internation juxtaposed criminal enterprises, and while we have those physical phenomena taking the blame for it because they're being charged, the victim hurt evidence fabrication nature, perpetrators then, tall areas, they're being blamed, they're breaching evil and needed lies and delusions with lie progression cover-ups are being attached to them. But to their criminal acts and their criminal natures, it needs to tell the same lies. And then being framed too. And they're on top of what is really their fault. And in other words, this is a serious problem when we have broken grammar school, fight logic, top down, with the same predatory multi-front, blaming people, narratives with school bullying, because they can't take real facts, protractions, they can't take correlation. And that's how they're maintaining to all areas predatory stewards roles, forced only let realized glorified, only let realized trained. In other words, everyone's a victim. We have to understand what the method that holds it to all areas juxtaposed, that off the record, organized, crime natures uncharged. For example, in relationship to that, relationship to the forced political theater, the forced terror logistics stays already here that are on our founders, on their free speech, not letting it, and justifying it, glorified in relationship to multi-front positions, not letting our free speech today. The most important, there is not one most important right, except for the right to kill. I mean, not to be killed. That's the only reason, and that involves, with abortion, that's different because these are states of nations, and those states, United States, that are incapable of the morality, of the credibility. They don't have the credibility to be able to tell a woman what to do with their body. And they have all these, they have medicine yet connected to roles with what is not medicine. In other words, what is gangland. It has nothing to do with the actual people who have actual physical need problems, too, with psychology. We have them roles facilitating evidence fabrication roles using the same criminal enterprises and the same hurt conviction natures that who are their patients involved with evidence fabrication methods and natures and acts through them, and then with their conjunctions to court stalls areas in internation, and with the prisons, with them forcing drugs on prisoners, using it as terror methods. I mean, it's sick. This is related, the terror methods were colonization sickest laws. They didn't just go away because we won a war against England. These was internation shared. They were already captive themselves. They were only let sophisticated natures, were already hurt conviction natures. No, in other words, internation sciences criminally re-engineered ancient revelations, internation science. And they forced this before modern nations. So kings were only realized, extorted to spot. Everyone with terror database relationships, with roles, wanting nations to be built, but leveraging them overextended and relying upon the same terror systems, the same terror database relationships, because that's in conjunction with what's exploiting this all through, with fact treatments all through fraud, telling the same lies and delusions perpetually that are measured, needed to be told, and needed to be covered up in ways that are just juxtaposed with the breaching needs, having everyone else tell its lies actively and stay invested, exploiting even poverty, all kinds of active waves at once. All you have to do is let free speech and sciences are one body. They just reveal everything perfect. Everything perfect. It's a perfect world, not let voice, not let be told. Begin, behold.